Now in the 50th year of her sentence, Gloria W., who tried when she was 16 to rob a store with her son's toy gun, has appealed to the governor again. But he has no time. The pandemic is spreading all over Louisiana, so she sings in the shower, a song about a colored girl escaping through the bayous, her child slung across her back. She imagines her cellmates are all her grandchildren, listening to her story about snakes and gators and the virus she caught in the swamps one time. And this is when you don't know what to do. When you don't know what to do. Animals lie quietly on a branch or in their lair, feeling the quake long before we do, waiting for the trees to stop shaking, sheltering under fruit and stones their furniture. Last night, the call that an ex's dad was experiencing breathing problems made me want to scurry under the bed into the doghouse, telling the mutt to move over. The nurse in emergency will help. Tell her I gave you her name. She helped a friend remove his catheter once, keeping his secret to herself. It will be hard to tell her apart from the other green uniforms, the masks, the shoes that squeak on the tiles, the busy, sanitized hands. Call to let me know how it went if the old man is breathing on his own. I'll untangle myself from the dog blanket, go sheepishly into the house, apologize for the crisis, for not knowing what to do. And this is distancing. Distancing. I'll return when I can hug you, when the jealous beast has gone its way, when the old sugar mill has rusted into sad beauty and milk from the dairy is again safe to drink, when the sun has burned traces of bodies into the ground, lonely patches of grass between them. I'll cross the street, a man with a piece of paper looking for an address, assuring people she lived around here somewhere, meaning you, my love, whom I kept my distance from, sailing from island to island, searching among the naked girls in the carnival. And of course, what's a reading for if you can't try some new stuff, right? That's what it's for. From the back of the room, this is called the reading. From the back of the room, the blind man yells, "Read the damn poem," is what he always says. Over by the bar, Amiri waits his turn, his back killing him, Newark still a gleam in his eye. And there's Nate from the East Village, who once said he'd read in a toilet if he had to. At the mic, the next reader leaves a trail of pages in her wake. It makes me think of an event in Harlem where a near-naked girl danced on the bar as we waited for them to turn down the music. They never did. And every time the doors swung open, we saw her legs lift to the ceiling. And still, we kept going. And here we are, poets, living and dead, waiting to be caught. The dancer's name, Irene, I think it was, surely in one of these poems. My friend Susanna Pace and Margot Stever, they're doing an anthology, and they asked me to make it public. They're doing an anthology of Marilyn Monroe poems, and that's going to be really interesting. So this was my contribution for that. I just found out that within the last few years that I have a niece, and her name is Marilyn, and would you guess Marilyn Monroe? A black Marilyn Monroe. My niece Marilyn Monroe was darker than the screen star, but talked with the same breathy eyes half lidded, lashes long. I met her in the early years of her grown-up life when she introduced herself as family, and I heard my father's grunt come out as a female sound, more like a sigh. It made me wonder, was her mother the baby brought one night in pouring rain, my dad's response, a few dollars crumpled and flung over the gate? The night we met, I said a silent apology on his behalf for all the Marilyns who fended even before they learned to flutter their eyelids for themselves, for mothers and grandmothers, those whom men kept waiting out in the pouring rain. How the gun is like a taser. I watched the parents of the boy cry who wished they could go back in time, who wished to rewind so the car he was driving wouldn't start, so his wisdom tooth would choose that day to break through his gum and pain to the point he would go and lie down. And the woman who shot him, that the dark pit of a trench would open up across her yard like a seam of coal, so she'd have to go back in, unstrap the belt, ponder the weight of the gun versus that of the yellow taser, reverse the order in which they hang on her torso, so the universe would start spinning backward, releasing black bodies from their graves.